Ooh, wait. We got something good to talk about today. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Melody. Welcome back to my channel, all about holistic well-being, how you can take care of your mind, your body, and your heart for optimum wellness and feeling good. And today I want to talk to you about quarantine self-care, how your self-care and your self-love can and should change on the daily, in the moment, and why that works. So, if it's your first time visiting my channel, I hope you enjoy. If you're coming back for more, subscribe. Please like, enjoy, and hit that notification bell for when more good stuff comes out. If quarantine has taught us anything, I hope that it's teaching us how to be more patient with ourselves. So that's what I want to talk about today. This was coming up this week for myself and for clients, and so it seemed like something that maybe more of us can relate to. That's what I'd love to discuss. It's okay to change our minds. It's okay to change your mind. You are a multifaceted, beautiful, complex creature. You have varying needs. You have varying moods. You have varying triggers. So it's only natural that the way you want to take care of yourself could change in the moment. And it's okay to change your mind. It doesn't mean that you're a flake or that you're non-committal. It just means that you are listening to yourself in the moment. We need to be able to read ourselves. And if we're not enjoying something that we think we should enjoy or something that we have to do, it's time to shift gears. So I wanted to bring up that beautiful book, 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and remind everybody that we have different ways that we engage with the world. We have different learning styles. We have different ways of communicating. That certainly applies right back to you. The 5 love languages, let's refresh our memory, are touch, verbal, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. So those wonderful 5 things can be ways that we show our love, but it also shows what your own love language is. And it really shows when people take the time to talk about self-care. And for some of us, we really resonate with that idea of bathtubs and face masks, or, eating some chocolates in front of the TV. And others are like, what are you talking about? I would rather be outside. Or some of us view self-care as spending time in your journal. Some of us view self-care as getting your chores done so that in the morning that you have a clean kitchen to look at. And none is better than the other. You can do all of them. You can be that person that changes her mind, and one day that bubble bath is absolutely necessary, and the next you really just want to have the kitchen clean before you go to bed so that in the morning you feel great. So I want to encourage flexibility. If quarantine is teaching us anything, it should be teaching us flexibility, how to slow down and take care of ourselves. So that's really, really important right now. I'd like to share a little story about Melody, age 6? I was in first grade. And this really illustrates a personality quirk that many of us have. But in first grade, we were taking a spelling test, and my teacher, Mrs. Molenpaw, she didn't explain all the rules to us. So I looked over at my friend to my right. Her name was Megan. She was erasing. I was like, why are you erasing, girl? This is a test. This is a test. Why are you erasing? I got a little indignant. I raised my hand. I said, Mrs. Molenpaw, Megan's erasing. And Mrs. Molenpaw just looked at me kind of funny and was like, Melody, go back to your work. I didn't know that you were allowed to erase. It was a test as far as I was concerned. Bear in mind, I'm a young Scorpio. I came from a house with tension and trauma. And, my life wasn't worse or better than other people who go through stuff. But at any rate, that's my background. I was a little stressed out. I was kind of high strung. I've loosened up. But, that little trigger of, oh my gosh, this is a test and we need to be taking it really seriously. That was something that showed up for me as a kid. And Mrs. Molenpaw, bless her heart, she could have easily just said, oh, it's okay, Melody, you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind. I was like, I would have really benefited from that knowledge. When I look back on that little story about Melody, age, 7, whatever, first grade Melody, I was just like, oh man, I have compassion for her. It's important that we do that. It's important that we have self-compassion, and that you realize, in addition to that, you're allowed to stop, reassess, change your mind, and it doesn't make your previous decision any less valid. So that was something that was coming up this week with my client, with myself. We need to give ourselves credit. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to, divert directions. Have compassion with yourself. It's okay. It's okay. Change your mind. It doesn't mean that you were wrong. It doesn't mean that you did something bad. You've probably heard people say before that healing is like peeling an onion. There are layers to it. There are more and more layers. You think you're done with something and it comes back again later. So just realize that you need to address those things in the moment, that there will be more after you finish with one facet of something. There's going to be more. That's the process of life. That's the process of the human spirit. We are multidimensional, complex. So I'd like to offer you a little healing strategy that has to do with quantum physics. It ignores the regular laws of linear time. That's all that means. So, for instance, in that story I shared with you about first grade Melody, not knowing that it was okay to erase, and how I was unsure and I tried really hard and I just maybe needed, a little bit more patience or a little bit of a hug or some compassion from one of my parents at home. Quantum healing says that you can go back and witness something. You can go back and be with yourself at that certain stage of the game, stand witness, and give yourself love in that moment. So what I would do and what I have done since then is go back and sit with little Melody in that classroom and say, oh my gosh, it's okay, honey. You can erase. Look yourself in the eye, that pure, innocent little part of you. And it doesn't matter. This could have been something that happened yesterday, okay? But that version of you, you need to look at yourself square in the eye, square in the face, step out of your human personality, see yourself as just a human who's trying their best. Just a beautiful, innocent being who deserves compassion and love. And say to that version of yourself, say to that person who you were in that moment, it's okay, I love you, you did great. Say whatever it is that you really needed to hear. So if you're doing work on your inner child, maybe you want to take yourself and hug yourself. Imagine that happening. Just imagining it. That's what quantum healing and quantum physics says, is just by the simple act of intention and observing something, you are creating a different divergence of reality. You're creating another dimensional reality. And of course, if you follow quantum physics, there are millions and millions of fractals, millions of possibilities and versions of our current reality, and we're constantly clicking onto a different channel, if you will. So this is some really, really interesting stuff, and this is where I love hanging out and reading and investigating, but I have found that this healing technique works. So spend some time just imagining and having that discussion with yourself. Our imagination really is the window to the soul. It really is important. We only use 10% of our brain. What's that big old gray sponge up here for? There's so much that they don't know. Be open to possibilities. And if you are into it, give it a shot. Leave me some comments. This works. There's a lot of data out there to prove it, qualitative data, and they're even getting to the quantitative stuff when they measure how a particle will change if it's observed versus not. So there's some really, really interesting stuff out there. If you are interested in this, one of my teachers who has written many books on the subject and gives great workshops. Her name is Pamela Oslie, O-S-L-I-E. And she discusses the science behind this as well as the holistic practical applications. She's amazing. So if you find that interesting, check it out. And there are many, many other authorities on the subject. I hope that that can be useful for you. So you want to sit in that memory, and you want to observe yourself in that memory. You want to give yourself the reinforcement, the love, the compassion that you didn't get in that moment. The belief is that you're going back and changing that reality. If that sounds crazy to you, that's okay. We're learning all sorts of things that we didn't understand before, aren't we? So maybe in 20 years, that's just really going to be commonplace practice. We don't know. Isn't life exciting? Isn't it exciting? The mystery of life and spirit, you guys? I'm sending you so much love today. I hope that you are well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. be compassionate to yourself. If we're learning anything during quarantine, make sure that it is just be compassionate to yourself, be good to yourself, be love to yourself so that you have something to give to those around you. You can't give what you don't have. Figure out what's going on with yourself. What kind of love do you need today? Wishing you well, wishing you all the blessings in the world. So many prayers for all of us right now. Keep on doing your best. You are doing good. And remember, we work with our best toolkit in the moment. So self-forgiveness, self-love. Talk to you soon. All right, goodbye. Talk to me, little bird. Yeah. Yeah.